Tech Talk Taco Tuesday, number 5, live from Ramiro's in Pahrump, Nevada. It's 7 o'clock. We're going to get rolling here. And tonight, what I have scheduled to talk about is a couple things. I'm going to talk about the JCR Honda CRF450X that I got to ride that just happened to win the Mint 400 this past weekend. And I got to ride it because I wanted to feel what a full power-up 450X feels like and kind of compare it to our long-term test bike and have an idea. I learned a whole bunch about what it takes to modify it to different levels, so we'll kind of run through that real quickly. And there's a ton of stuff happening in the helmet world, and I got a chance to talk to one of my good friends, Dave Tom, who's in the helmet testing and helmet. He understands a lot about helmets, and it's been almost 10 years now, a little over 10 years now, since we did the helmet test at Dirt Rider magazine. When we did that, it was because some of the standards were changing, and now with all the rotational stuff coming along, and some of the standards that they're proposing for rotational, I think it's time to do a test like that again, and I may push forward to do that if I can figure out how to acquire the budget necessary to actually do the helmet testing, and I'll explain that a little bit. I had a couple new goggles that I had got my hands on this week, and maybe if we have time to do that. And one more thing, today I was out rally training with Ricky Brabec, and so he said that last night at about 10 o'clock when I was putting together the last road book, he said if I rode today he would come on my screwy little show as a guest. So I rode today. I got my 250 kilometers in and survived. And Ricky's here. He's hanging out, having dinner right now. And we'll bring him in as soon as you get bored of listening to me. So that's what we have on the schedule. And I'm going to go ahead and try to keep up with the questions as much as I can on the screen, and then when Ricky starts answering questions, I'll just kind of relay them over to him from you. So if you have some good questions, I'll get that information across to him, and then you guys can learn a couple things about what he's been up to, what he's doing, besides winning the Mint 400 with Kendall Norman last weekend. So back to that. I was lucky enough to start talking to Johnny about being able to ride their race bike as soon as they kind of, I wanted to ride it when it was like ready, but what I learned from hanging out with them over the last week as they were doing a lot of testing is how much testing it takes to get a race bike ready, and that's an all-new bike for them. The 2019 Honda CRF450X is basically, they got them about the same time as customers got them in reality, but Johnny had done a lot of the development work on it, a lot of the testing early on, and right away he realized that this bike, even though it's being sold as a green sticker bike and a compliant bike, he said this thing has some characters just like the old X that makes it a much better off-road racer than like high-speed off-road racer, Baja style, Mint 400 style obviously, than the R or RX. And that kind of is counterintuitive to a lot of people because they're like, I want the motocross bike. But there's so many subtle things in the chassis. Of course, it has a 6-speed transmission, which makes a big difference. There's a lot of stuff that makes this bike work, and so I got a chance to ride their race bike last week when they were basically they finally set on final settings. They were messing around with changing around some different parts to get it just right, and every step of the way you can see how they just do one change at a time, one thing. And then when they're all said and done, even though that was the bike they were going to the race with, they say, we want to do this and this and this. And the bike does have factory suspension on it. And the bike has an R head on it. And you start saying, I need factory suspension and I need an R head. And I had the Dirt Bike Test long-term 450X out with me, and I got to ride them back to back, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But people get kind of focused on you have to do this and you have to do that, and these guys are riding the bike at kind of the limit as fast as it goes, and it's that they're really only getting like this extra 10 or 15% that most people would never use. And in riding that bike with the suspension, and funny, I hopped on the one that they raced at the Hare and Hound a couple weeks ago, and I really liked it, which meant it's not stiff enough because I don't ride that fast and I'm not hitting stuff that hard. I go, I can't believe that this thing works really good for factory suspension because usually it's too stiff. So I got a chance to do that, go back to back with our standard bike, and it's amazing how good the stock bike really is, especially when you consider the wide range that it's set up for. It has good bottoming resistance. You can hit stuff, but when you hop on the race bike, you realize they've set it up stiffer, so you can really slam into things, you know, with either the front or the back end, and it just stays really, really controlled. And over the day of testing, they were playing around with it, kind of getting. They had two bikes, and they were getting the bike for the Mint. They were constantly going a little bit stiffer in the front, and just making essentially just small changes to get it there. Because also it's a bike where both Kendall Norman and Ricky Brabec were riding it, and then there's always the kind of this compromise, and I think they leaned more towards Ricky's settings because he was going to ride it for 2 laps, but they were both seemed pretty happy with it. And then when I rode the final bike, I was like, man, I like this a lot too, but it was just to the point where it started getting too stiff for something that I wanted. And feeling how it worked, the progression and the action of the shock and the fork, I was like going, I'll bet you if I turned it over to a really good suspension tuner that I could explain what I wanted to, they could make the stock stuff work this good. And everybody gets upset when I say that because they want to have, you know, A-kit suspension stuff. But the stuff that comes in these bikes these days is really, really good. So that's the other thing. And then going on to the head and the cylinder, you know, the motor stuff, they found out that you can't just drop an R, you know, or RX head on top of this bike, or cylinder and head. And number one, there's no pistons, and there's a little bit different in deck height off the cases. So you need to have a piston that's specifically made for it, or you need to do some machining to get the cylinder and head height proper. And the really the difference, the shapes of the ports are actually the same. It's just all the stuff that's on the side for the thermostat and some of the stuff that plumbs the air injection back into the exhaust port is the big change between the two things. Those don't affect like horsepower and engine performance. It's more of a visual thing. So do you really need to do that? Do you need to go to those extra steps? I mean, you could actually have your X head ported to the same spec that an R head would be. So I think for the regular guy, that's going kind of the extra step. And then one other thing they've got, and I don't know a whole lot about it because this is where it's HRC and factory stuff somehow or another, is they have a different ECU. So they're working with a more open air box, a different ECU, so they can control and tune the fueling just like they do on the factory Supercross bikes. So that's really good stuff. On, you know, high level stuff that you need a technician to do the tuning for. In my world, I just have a JD tuner on that interrupts the signal going into my throttle body. So I can change the fueling and the tuning. I can do it instantly by pushing a button, and that's where it's taking something that's pretty high level and making it kind of simple. And then, because if you change anything in that package, all of a sudden you change one thing, it starts flowing more. You're going to need to change something to make sure it has the right fuel mixture, just like you used to jet your carburetor back in the day. So hopefully that kind of helps out on some of the things on how it ran. I'm going to go see if I've got some sound great. Camera won't stay still. I'll learn how to work this thing one of these days. I think it's doing some tracking sort of thing. And actually, you should take your computer and put it in your pocket and then just turn the volume up and listen to it while you're doing something else, because who wants to look at me for an hour while I'm doing this? Let's see if I can scroll down here and see where we're at with the questions right now. Feed is flawless. Wow, that's weird. Um, audio's, yeah. Turn your mic up on your end. Actually, it's really loud, and it's actually loud in my here. You're here. Um, yeah, producing the show, uh, pretty good. Okay, everybody. I think everybody's gonna want to see talk to Ricky here pretty quick. So get your questions ready. Um, anyhow, another thing that I always want to bring up and talk about when we're talking about factory bikes, and over my career being a journalist and at times being a factory rider, I learned that it's not just about having this certain factory part or something. It's learning how to test and make it better, because the good thing about being at that level is if you have a good team, you can get whatever you want. Like if you want a change made to the bike for one reason or another, they will do it. And while we were out there, I started paying attention to some of the stuff that they were doing. And when you start looking at that bike, and we're on this week, I'll put up a full story on the race bike. So with all the little details and stuff. When you start looking at the small things they do, you look at all the reinforcements they do on the chain guide, just on the lower chain guide, because they don't want that to break. That's just a faulty thing. Stuff with the time they take to tune and play with the ECU, those are incremental steps that they start doing. They start working on things like the balance of the suspension, and this is all kind of done one-on-one, and it's not just like 10 things go on the bike and it's like, go ride this and see how it works. They test the stuff individually, and they take the time to make sure that it works better than the last step. Some other interesting stuff on the bike. They have 2 e-start buttons on, one on each side of the handlebar, because now the bike doesn't have a kick, or doesn't have a Kickstarter. I keep on forgetting what year we're in. Does not have a Kickstarter. And if one of those buttons were to get damaged in a crash or something, there's a backup system for that. They are, adding, one of the things is the riders were complaining about some of the noise that was coming off the skid plate. So they took the skid plate off and added foam to the skid plate, and not for mud or anything like that. It was for a sound thing to make it a little bit better. And then you look at stuff that they did to protect some of the radiator hoses, so a cactus or a bush or a stick can't come up in there and get it. The radiators are kind of shrouded with a screen so that stuff can't poke at it. And a lot of this stuff is done for durability, and it's years and years of experience. And like every time you have a failure of some sort, you go back and say, what can we do to make this not happen again? And a lot of times that's what makes a factory bike more factory than, some special motor setting or kit suspension or things like that, because the bike is set up for the rider. They spent a lot of time making it work like that. And it's funny because I got to ride their bike, and that bike wasn't for me, and so I would never say that it was good or bad, because it's not set up for me. I can describe how it worked, and some of the worst bikes I've ever ridden have been factory bikes that were the bikes you dream of riding, and it's like, it's not set up for me. A stock bike is a lot better than this one. They took a really good stock bike and ruined it into making it a perfect bike for that guy to do what he is doing. So, yeah, how to go and kind of wreck your dream of wanting to ride somebody else's factory bike, huh? So, okay, we are going to, I see some questions popping up here. We will, let's see, fish or shrimp tacos? Yeah, no, they're just beef tacos tonight. The $1 beef tacos. It's Taco Tuesday here. Let's see. How does the upper and lower limits of the gearbox in the X compare to the YZ450FX? Ooh, I don't know. I haven't had those 2 bikes out back to back. I did have the WR out here. I didn't ride them, but they're pretty, I want to say pretty similar, but the Yamaha's getting away with it with a 5-speed. And in our WR450 test on dirtbiketest.com, that's that website. Remember you used to have to type in a website name to get the information? You're not just going to get it off Instagram or Facebook. Well, if you want to ever learn something like that, try going to our website and try searching. The little search thing works awesome up there. So if you have questions like that, type that in, and it might actually pop up with the answer, or at least the article that you can find that information at. Let's see. Let's go to the questions. How did you score the chopper ride? Oh, the helicopter. Yeah, I was standing in the right place at the right time, and I had a camera. So, yeah, it was good times. I got to watch the Mint from the best seat in the house. I went up with Stevie in his really nice four-seater helicopter and watched basically half of the first lap and almost the rest of the entire race. And what a race it was. That was pretty cool to watch, actually really watch Jacob push those guys the whole time. We saw the pass for the lead when Kendall kind of got back in front, and then I put some videos on my Instagram account and up on Dirt Bike Test where he shows how close those guys were, and it was kind of perfect racing conditions, pretty much dust-free, and yeah, watching it from a helicopter. I wish our helicopter had one of the West cams on the bottom of it. That would have been pretty cool. So, let's see. Geez, so many contexts. Where what? Huh? Yep, too confusing. Hey Ricky, you want to come over here? We're gonna get Ricky over here. So Ricky is the second guest ever on the Dirt Bike Tech Talk Taco Tuesday. Say that fast 5 times. So you've got some headphones there. You just flip them around. And let's see. We got Ricky sitting in here live. As soon as you figure out how to throw those headphones on, not knock anything over in the process, and our awesome bar-like studio.
I'm here.
Let's see. There's Ricky Brabec. So there's a little bit of a delay here, but we got some questions for you already. So Ricky of that close to Dakar fame. Close to Dakar fame. Baja 1000 winner. National Hare and Hound champion.
Twice.
The Best in the Desert champion.
And the new Mint 400 champion.
The new Mint 400 champion. I know you're pretty stoked about that. That was a really awesome ride. So okay, here we go. Now the questions are starting to flow in. So we'll see where we're at here. Does Ricky sprinkle sand on his? See, this is what you get. This is what you get on the internet. Does Ricky sprinkle sand on his Wheaties? He can probably answer that for you.
Man, I don't even know how to take that. I don't even know what it means.
Welcome to the internet.
No, I don't put sand on the Wheaties.
Yeah, and then Nar Dave's over there. See, he's just like all the internet guys. He wants to know if you like ice cream.
I do like ice cream. I just had a big old dessert here, Romero's. Come on, chocolate and caramel, fried ice cream. Can't go wrong.
Let's see. So basically, one of the questions was earlier. I'm scrolling back down through here. Where did that go?
I saw a couple of them. I saw like San Felipe Bob was just straight killing it, asking a few questions.
Yeah, I think one of them just kind of wanted. There was one that was asking a question about what gearing did you run at the Mint? You remember?
Stock gearing.
Stock gearing, I thought. On the bike. Yeah, and then
6-speed.
And then you guys ran mooses.
We did run moose tubes.
Yep. And
I think Jimmy had already gone over a lot of what our bike had in it.
I didn't really get into the specifics or anything, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to write it up on the website and make it work. Let's see. Somebody's asking if you're going to do the Baja 500 or 1000 this year.
Johnny Campbell.
Yep, Johnny Campbell poked in on here.
I know. Hey, believe it or not, he just got this Facebook thing all signed up a couple weeks ago, and he's all about it now.
Yeah,
He even's got Instagram.
So, yeah, start following Johnny Campbell on all the social medias. And if you like this, you can follow Ricky on Instagram. He always does stories, and then he doesn't tell me he's doing a story because I don't even know how to check them. And then next thing you know, there's pictures of me riding through mud and doing push-ups and what else?
Pull-ups.
Pull-ups, yeah.
Pull-ups in the doorway.
Don't know how that works. Okay, did Jacob give you guys a run?
Yeah, I mean, Jacob rode really well. He sold the Mint 400, and we knew he was going to be strong, but we didn't know he was going to be that strong for that long. And, yeah, he's riding well this year, so, kept us on our toes the whole way.
I mean, with 2 National Hare and Hound victories so far, I was really surprised when he came out right from the beginning because he's kind of privateer back now.
Yeah. I mean, he knows Lucerne really well, and I don't know. There's all kinds of talk. People were saying like how far back he was at the first pit, but I wasn't believing what they were saying because I mean we've done the first loop. That same first loop for a couple of years now, it's more or less always the same first loop. And, yeah, right. I blew a corner in the second loop, and he passed me almost right away. So, I don't know. He's definitely riding well this year.
Yeah, it's good to see. It's always good when there's competition.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets boring when there's always runaways and stuff like that. Let's see, so what question here is, how much different is your suspension than stock? And maybe you can even talk about what you like different.
I don't really know the answer to that 100%. Obviously, I'm a little bit bigger of a guy. I can't really use stock stuff. My suspension I like to have, really, really stable, really stiff, but with a initial plushness, so that way it's not so harsh on the hands or your body really going across the desert. But when you come up on something big, you want to be able to hit something and not bottom out and kind of throw you sideways. So
like safety.
Yeah,
it's fully for safety. And I was always impressed because I've ridden a couple different of the Honda bikes, different whether it's rally or some race bikes. And when I rode your bike, I'm like, it wasn't a bad setup, especially for a guy you're a little bit bigger than me, and you definitely stronger, a little bit bigger, and ride way on the front. And I thought, it's going to be stiff, and I noticed that they were saying you're going stiffer and stiffer, and I rode it. I'm like, no, this thing's still balanced. It still works really good, but it has really good safety. And then I know like the rally guys, they were putting so much what we call safety into the bike, the suspension just didn't move. It was like it was really good if you hit something.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time, the whole time you're really trying to ride.
It was garbage, yeah. And ever since I've been doing the rallies, I've noticed I've wanted my stuff a little bit stiffer and stiffer just because I wanted it. I'm getting comfortable on the rally bike and you're going a lot faster. And, in the Hare and Hounds, you want some stiff stuff, but you need some stuff that'll get you through the rocks, without bouncing left and right.
Okay. A couple of people mentioned it's great to see Kendall racing again. How is Kendall as a teammate?
Oh, Kendall's rad. I never really thought I'd be racing with Kendall Norman on the same team. But yeah, it's pretty wild to actually be on the same team with Kendall and share duties with Kendall and share a bike with Kendall. He's a good guy. We kind of lost him for a couple years ago, but now I don't know. He's came around and he's cool. He's a full hippie, and I like it.
He came when they were over at our place on, was it last Thursday, when they were working on the bikes and stuff. He cooked dinner. He brought
out of his van, probably.
Yeah, well, he brought all this cool. He kind of got all this cool food and had fancy stuff. It was like a full gourmet thing. He just brought this bowl. Me and Johnny were in the shop. He brought this bowl. He's like, "Got to try this." It was some pretty good stuff.
Yeah, Kendall's really creative. He likes to live off the land, or whatever he can get his hands on, he's going to try to make something out of it or drink something out of it. So it's pretty cool.
What kind of motor prep is done to the new 450X for desert racing? Ricky just rides them.
I'm not as deep as that. I'm not really an engine guy or a mechanic in that department. I just ride them. But however I take care of my bikes, with everything else but building the motor. So, there's a lot of time and prep that goes into it at the JCR shop, but it's like I said, not my apartment, so I don't know.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised at how stock that motor still was when we started talking about it, because they just don't have a lot of parts for it yet. It's just too new. With they had to use the X piston because there's really nothing else available, and so they're I'm sure as time goes on they'll figure out how to put some more compression in it and just do stuff. But when they do those kind of things, that's when you have to decide, like, okay, how durable is this now? How long is it going to last? And just even from seeing how rally teams prep, that bike has to last for X amount, a long time, and you're running it at full steam all the time, and that's part of the game, is to like work on those developments and kind of push it forward. Let's see if we got any other ones up there right now. So Ricky, tell me. You're gonna get feedback on that. You gotta kill the sound on that, or we're gonna get feedback through here. Somebody wants to know, how did your riding career lead to Dakar?
That I don't even really know. I was injured on a couch, and Quinn called me, asked if I wanted to learn how to do road books and if I was interested in rally. And as a kid, I was always watching Robbie Gordon and Quinn on the Dakar, when I was like in high school. So I thought it'd be cool to try it out, and I'm very fortunate that I was able to make it happen and get to Dubai for my first rally. And
well, you told me that story today. You bought your own plane ticket.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have enough money, so I had to call my dad and ask him if he wanted to go to Dubai.
Go on a vacation to Dubai.
Yeah, and take me with them. And the rally team liked my performance, so they invited me to Ruta 40, which was in August. And after that, I got a contract for the Dakar, and I don't know. I took the contract and signed it away, and now I'm still riding for them and having fun.
Let's see. Does the sphincter valve pucker when you hit rocks at 80 miles an hour, or do you get used to it?
It only puckers if you get sideways, but if you kind of get like a good 80 mile an hour pop up, it's no big deal. You learn to ride with it and just let the bike do what it wants, and hopefully it all ends good. But yeah, if you are going 80 miles an hour and the bike just kicks you sideways, that's for sure. You get the cold sweats, you get the puckering, and then you got to tell yourself to back it down a couple percent. But it's scary.
But but I think one of the things you asked, do you get used to? I mean, you practice, and that's what you train for, and it's almost like you get, I don't want to say get desensitized to it, but when you practice that level.
Well, we don't practice to hit. We don't practice to hit those rocks.
But just when you're out, but when you're just out riding, it happens.
It's just natural.
It happens, and it happens over and over. So it's like you build up to it. Like anything. I mean, the first time you hit a bad rock, it was at 40 miles an hour. Now the 40 mile an hour one is nothing.
Yeah.
And it's just slowly. It's and you learn from your bad experiences to not do it anymore. Don't hit them, right? That's what I say.
Yeah. Don't hit them right. Yeah.
What type of clutch do the 450X team bikes have? You guys run Hinson stuff, right?
Yeah. We're sponsored by Hinson, but as far as the clutch, I know that there's a couple different options, but I think our option is we just run whatever stock is, but from Hinson.
Yeah,
I think it's a 7-plate.
Yeah, I never looked inside of it. Actually, they never pulled the clutch cover off. So I wouldn't know. Like, it's funny, you go to a Supercross and all they're doing is popping clutches out and throwing them around, and you guys rode it for 3 or 4 hours the day you're out testing, and I never saw the clutch cover come off the whole time it was there. So it seems like it works, and that's one of the things that I do complain about on the stock X is it's got this little bit of a vague feel, and we did 3 different steps to get rid of it, 3 different steps through recluse clutch. So just a different way of doing it, and now my bike has the full auto in it because I'm an old man. So I ride with auto clutch all the time because that's for old men only. So there's lots of different things. Can you show me how to ride like the wind and make it look easy?
Hey, Patrick, Dude, you're the one that moved out of Hesperia, man.
You need to do more Hesperious motos out there.
You need Hesperia motos.
Yeah. Let's see.
Dude, they're coming in right now.
Do you like the change of continent for the Dakar 2020?
I'm fine with the change for Dakar. It would be a lot easier if Dakar stayed the same every year instead of changing the rules on every single stage. But yeah, as far as I'm excited to go to new places always. But
we don't necessarily know where it is.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. There's a lot of rumors going around right now that it's going to be in Saudi Arabia next year. So although they kind of seem like they had some stuff going down in Peru, kind of setups for Peru earlier. So nobody really exactly knows. But it was funny because when we heard it was Saudi Arabia, we pulled out the Google Earth and started looking at it, and that they could have a good Dakar there. There's a little bit of everything there. It's not all just sand, and it would be and it's a big country. It's big enough to, I think it's like they have more land to work with than they did in Peru. So see how it goes. Let's see here. We'll roll back to the questions. Let's see. How did they ever figure out your cause of your engine failure during the Dakar?
As far as I know, they haven't figured out what caused it to let go on me. But I would have to say that'll probably remain under wraps. So
the next one, do you carry a fanny pack in Dakar or carry any tools?
Our bike is equipped with a tool roll, in the center of the bike somewhere. I don't personally carry a fanny pack. The team makes me be the rally team makes me be like a camel and carry most of the shit for all the other riders, which I don't agree with. But yeah, the bike's got tools on it, and
yeah, because in that skid plate has a tool compartment and stuff down there. Yeah, so there's room for it, but you're not actually physically carrying anything.
Yeah,
on the body.
no tools on the body unless it's a marathon stage. We have tools and spare parts on our navigation tower, so we make it work for marathon days.
Your mom says hi, by the way. I think Mitch tried to point that out. The internet's, everybody's in here eating up our bandwidth, and we're trying to get it. So what does it mean to you and Johnny and Kendall delivering Honda their first Mint win, and then having bikes like this back this year, and then also, let's see, Jay and Roberts being there as the first rider to ever win the thing. How was that?
Means a lot. Honda's never won the Mint, so
because I think it was only it was Husky and Yamaha before.
That's what I heard.
Only two brands that had won it. Yeah.
So to win the Mint on Honda for Honda's first time, and then to also win the Mint the first year is back is a lot. It means a lot. Johnny, I hope, is excited. I'm excited. Kendall's pumped. I think Kendall's pumped all the time. If there's a dirt bike involved, he's pumped up. So it means a lot, and the team is happy.
Let's see. Would you carry a floral? Wait. Would you carry a floral print fanny pack when you're not riding? I think he's referring
Yeah,
to
Dan, I for sure, after my Mint 400 sparkling helmet that I had won from the Mint 400, I need to buy myself a scooter, and you need to provide me with the floral print fanny pack. I'll do it up.
Yeah, and I heard if you don't have a ride for next year, you're racing a Harley with the floral print and that bullet and the chrome helmet. The sparkly.
That's true. If we're not doing it on a dirt bike next year, I'm gonna hop on a Harley.
Someone wanted to know how you peed, that's probably like everybody else. He only had to ride 80 miles at a time.
In the Dakar, you just try to pee before the stage, and if you got to pee during the stage, then if you got to pee during the stage, it kind of sucks because you're holding it, you're getting antsy, and you make mistakes. But normally, you just try to get it all out before you start.
I'll tell you, I know Johnny Campbell used to pee his pants. I know that because his boots used to they were bad. I could never do it. I had to pull over and stop every time on long stages, and you just time it, you know. You learn how to do that kind of stuff, but I never did the catheter thing, and I couldn't pee while I was riding. So, let's see. Somebody said they thought that the skid plates held water. Skid plates do hold water on the
Skid
Dakar
plates,
bikes.
yeah, skid plates hold water. Some skid plates hold water and tools. A lot of older bikes have water in other places and tools in the skid plate. It just all depends on manufacturer and what your bike it is, really.
Let's see. Are you looking forward to Rip to the Tip?
Uh,
Do you get to go?
yeah. No, I'm going on the Rip. The Rip's always fun. If you guys want the ultimate adventure and ride your motorcycle across Baja all the way to Cabo, for sure the Rip to the Tip is calling your name. You got everything, action filled,
Yeah.
good.
How do you find out about it? Where do you, is it like riptothetip.com or?
I think it's on Desert Assassins.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, that's a good group to go with. We explore Baja and get to some pretty secret spots. It's pretty rad.
And raise money for charity.
I think so. Yeah.
Does some raising money
and
for charity.
And the Beach Bash is a big charity one.
Yep. So there's a kind of cool things. Cameron Steele puts those on. Yep. And the Desert
and
Assassins.
Johnny Campbell.
Johnny's there. Yep. And so kind of a cool thing if you want to go ride in Baja with top riders and see cool places and go places that, I mean, just watch some of the videos. Like there was TV shows and videos that you can geek out on and see all that kind of stuff. Yeah, some people say it's their dream. What kind of tubes are you running? No tubes, Moose.
We run Moose tubes.
Yeah, Moose, Nitro Moose.
Nitro Moose tubes. I run air tubes and the motocross bike.
Yeah.
Tires, we use Maxxis. I prefer the SIs, the front and rear. That's just my personal choice. But I know Maxxis has some new ones coming out that I heard are pretty good. I think like the McGrath edition ones.
Oh yeah.
That's what I heard. I haven't ran them.
Yeah. I didn't. It's kind of funny because he came from his truck side.
Yeah.
He has a Maxxis deal and he's been working on some tires and stuff like that. It'd be kind of cool to try them out when they come out. That's what Dirt Bike Test does, is test products and things. Hey Janie, how's my tequila doing?
It is ready. Are you ready for it?
So tonight, big night for me. I'm gonna hit my 200 tequila. My nemesis is here. She's also on 200 tequilas.
She's priming herself up at the end of the bar.
So these are my last three, huh? Yep.
And Suzanne's going to come over and join you.
Oh, she is.
But not
Okay.
on camera.
So if you guys have any other questions for Ricky, we'll finish these up, and then look at this little gem that I got delivered to me right here.
We got a question from Steve Webb.
Yep.
Are the checkpoints in Dakar manned? No, there's no checkpoints manned in Dakar. It's all on GPS. There's absolutely nothing out there for the checkpoints. Just
Well, it's essentially you
and your bike.
Yeah, it's you and your bike, but your bike has a tracker on it.
Yeah,
so your
yeah.
bike essentially has a GPS unit. It just doesn't really show you where to go. And what that does is there's certain places in the map book that's marked. This is a mandatory. Actually, technically, every note in the map book is a mandatory. You have to go to it.
Yeah, that's correct.
But they have some that are marked as different kinds of waypoints, and some of them are specific, kind of like checkpoints. You have to go to this thing, and you're on some of them, an arrow will pop up, and it'll kind of guide you in. And on some of them, nothing pops up, and you just have to know that you've hit it by your GPS will say that you have advanced to the next.
Yeah, you got numbers on on your GPS that say like 43, and then right under it will be 44. So that way, those are your waypoints necessarily, and then that way, if you're at 42 and 44, then obviously you had missed one of them.
43.
So yeah.
So technically, the checkpoints aren't manned. They download it off the GPS, and they also have on tracking. They can see where the riders have been, and they know whether or not that they've crossed the checkpoint. So hopefully that. Let's see.
Dude, we got 3 good questions in a row.
Okay.
Look at this.
What's in your Camelback? Yeah, they're not even goofy ones.
This one isn't. For Dakar, we have to have a 3-liter Camelback. I usually put some water and some like electrolytes in there, because we're on the bike in the dunes all day. And Sam Fleetwood Bob is asking if I'm a good student. I think you know
Yeah.
what, Bob? I think we teach we teach each other some things sometimes.
Yeah, it was when he first came to do the rally training. I didn't think so, but everybody learns differently, and it's funny because sometimes I get deer in the headlights look from him, and then I realize that 3 hours later he totally picked up what I said. He was just thinking about it, and then you can see the results. I mean, like I remember when we first started rally training. You'd come back and you didn't know what happened. Like something with the map, you didn't know what happened, what went wrong. And now, you know, like last year, it was they'd come back, and Andrew as well. You'd come back and you'd tell me what happened before I even, you know, we'd download the tracks, we'd look and see where they went. They would literally say, "Oh, I got here and I did this and I did that," so they knew where their mistakes were made and they corrected them. And like even today, while I was watching with them, riding with them, and sometimes I would cheat and cut ahead of him and stuff, and then I'd be able to kind of watch what he did. And you can see him start to make a mistake and fix it before it is even and it's kind of like I'm sitting there seeing it and I'm going, oh, I think, and then bang, it's fixed. He's fixing it quicker than I can realize that it's even kind of close to a mistake. So, but that's just practice, yeah.
Yeah, practice and it just becomes natural.
Yeah. So,
dude, look at this. Look at this one from Johnny right there. Does beer come from God?
Everything comes from God. Let's see.
Dan.
How close? Okay, so Jesse, how close do you have to get to the checkpoint, and what's the tolerance? So there's different depending on what kind of checkpoint it is. There's some that are 80 meters?
Yeah.
80 meters.
200 and 400.
Some are 200 and then 400, and you just have to kind of clear them. So it's by the symbol that's in the map book, like which one it is and how accurate you have to be, and that's one of those things that we practice when we're training. To know that it's almost like you have to visualize how big the checkpoints are and know that you need to go there. So
and then we got a question from Dan, I think only because Johnny was probably talking to Dan about my incredible start at the Mint 400. This was Kendall's thinking. Walking into my room at 10:30 at night with some turmeric and
turmeric and ginger.
Yeah,
that was the food he made.
Yeah, crazy ass tea he made for me.
Oh, it's a tea.
It's really good, and he was telling me we gotta practice starts. So I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, all right. We get to the pits next morning. It's freaking 6 a.m, and I'm out there in pit row practicing starts. I don't know, I probably did 20 or 30 of them, and then when before the banner was up, we had like a 10-minute delay. I'm up there doing starts, dude, practicing starts. Everyone was looking at me, and
what's the answer to the question? I practiced.
Yeah.
Oh no, you don't have a magic trick? Tell
No.
everybody what the magic trick is.
Electric start.
Okay. Could you both answer this? How do you decide when to look down at the road book, especially at speed, and how often do you slow down to ensure you're on the track?
Like this morning, we were looking down more than we were looking forward.
So the reason Ricky's out here, he's getting ready to go to Sonora Rally, and the reason I was riding is because I said that, or he said if I rode the stage today, I usually just go in the truck and then make fun of him. I rode to sucker him into being here. But I actually really wanted to ride it because it was some new stuff that I hadn't actually ridden before. And the question to that is, what we were talking about was it's like we were both out of tune.
Yeah.
And so we were looking down. We even talked about this afternoon. We both found ourselves looking down at the road book too much. And the way I teach is you're either racing or you're navigating. And you don't try to do the same time. That's when bad stuff happens. And just think about this. How long can you close your eyes for while you're going fast? And that's exactly what you're doing when you're looking at your notebook. So you have to teach yourself, and this is a taught skill, to look down. And you don't just look down and try to figure out, like, I'm going to look down and look at my notes and, like, where am I at? You're looking down at a specific location for a specific bit of information. You're going to take that and process it and do stuff. And you have to be able to close your eyes while you're hauling ass in order to do it. And it's a learned thing. And so the other one is how often do you slow down to ensure you're on track?
If you only have a split second to look down at the road book, usually I look down at the road book to make sure that there's no dangers.
Yeah.
Like no orange on my book. But the next thing I would look at is the kilometer, and then try to visualize try to see what direction I'm going to go. You know, turn left, straight, or stay right, or
Interesting
whatever.
what he just said. Like he said, he looks down for the color. He didn't say he wasn't looking at there's a color that means danger. So because you can look down in a split second and go, oh,
Yeah, you have your colors.
Yeah, I don't even know what color he uses for danger, but whatever his danger color is, he looks down and see it, and they're like, okay.
I use orange for dangers because orange is
danger.
fucking danger. And everything in California and everywhere, we have orange cones, not blue dangers like hare and hounds, because that's the most dangerous thing that hare and hounds could do.
Yeah. So, and how often do you slow down to ensure you're on track? No, you slow down to keep yourself on track. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Let's see. Not me, meant B. Let's see. Is Johnny still fast?
Johnny can still shred.
Johnny doesn't ride enough with me. I can't answer that question.
He doesn't ride with me.
He won't ride with me.
He always brings his gear, though.
Yeah?
Always brings his gear.
He should have rode the other day. Yeah. Johnny Campbell, you need to go on a trail ride with us.
Half a day.
Let's see. Talk about the new bike. More about the new bike. Eduardo, we were talking about it a lot earlier. Sorry. So we'll put this up on our website, this whole full podcast, and then you can watch that there where I talked about it a little bit. And then there's a whole bunch of tests, and I'm going to talk about Ricky's race bike more up there as well. So hopefully that answers that question. Let's see. Do you guys prefer carb versus fuel injection for desert racing?
That's a tough one.
I like fuel injection 100%, no doubt.
Fuel injection is really nice. I think carburetor is a little bit easier to ride, but everyone has personal preferences. I'm just so used to the older 450X, and the new one is really fun, really snappy, but it's all personal preference, really.
Ricky, you're doing good. You're killing traffic for us here on the thing. I mean, killing it in a good way. We're doing way better. And even this.
Look at my friend on here, freaking.
All your friends. You texted all your friends.
No. I don't even. My mom's probably sharing the hell out of this thing. But he's all better than you waking me up early on a Saturday by shooting me with Nerf guns. I don't know.
Yeah. What degree am I facing on the compass right now?
Who said this?
3, George. You know George that helped drive with us? George Estes? I am facing 335. Which way am I facing?
I don't know. 335.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Let's see. Do you rely on tracks or other riders' reassurance of direction? Reads Margaret Jimmy who intentionally get other riders lost. Yes, Jesse. I used to.
Come on,
there's
Jimmy.
No, that's not right. That's 270 that way. 270's that way.
No, look at.
There's magnetic interference here with all this equipment.
Oh shoot!
Hold on, let me have some more of my magnetic interference right here. Here, let me get that on the camera. Let me get there. They can see. Yeah, but it's vertical, so it doesn't work anymore. It was saying 43. Here's to 335 degrees. That's 298. Suzanne, you're saving the last one, right? Whoa, that was pretty spirited. You're saving one for the last one, right? Yep. So okay, let's see.
Do you read on tracks from other riders? Of course, when you get tired, for sure.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you navigate in some. You think about it like when you watch the Tour de France. You know, there's the peloton and stuff, and then there's breakaways, and people just kind of. It's the same thing sometimes. I think more so back in my day because our stages were longer, and they weren't broken up with a lot of transfers. You were racing for all day, and you couldn't sprint or push all day. And plus, you know, we were riding bigger bikes and heavier and different things like that. But did I ever lead people off track? I did my best sometimes when I felt people were following me. And it's like if you're in that sort of peloton or that group and everybody's taking their chance to do a little bit of leading or navigating, fine, everybody's doing their turn because it was almost like you're just doing work till you get to the part where you're going to do a sprint. But there were times when you'd notice somebody was just hanging back, and collectively the group almost said, okay, everybody'd slow down for that person to take their chance. And then if they didn't, then you would start doing stuff to goof with them. Or if you started early and people caught you and you noticed everybody's just following me and I was opening the stage, then I would do stuff to it's in rally, it's been going on forever. It's just a technique, and I think there was a time just not so long ago where everybody was just chasing everybody so hard that nobody took the time to do this, so they didn't think it was still effective. But I think that's changing now because there's a lot more strategy, and the guys are getting so good at navigating, and they're riding so fast. It's hard for someone to just race away from the rest of the riders. So let's see. Have you ever found sleeping in you sleep in an elevation tent, Ricky? Elevation tent? No, you don't answer that question? I can't. Let's see. Are the Dakar jackets actual jacket, or are they more like a heavy-duty jersey? Oh, talk about your jacket thing. That thing's actually pretty cool. Yours is cool.
The jacket is more or less just for extra pockets, and that's really it. We usually nowadays we have really thin jackets that are really vented, really light, but it just gives us shoot, what is it? 8 more pockets. I mean, and we can carry our water in our jacket. It gives us more pockets for more snacks, money.
Sometimes when it's cold, it's a jacket. You have a proper jacket.
When it's cold, we have a real jacket. But like this Dakar in Peru, we had a vest, and it was like
It's just pockets.
Yeah, it's just pockets basically. Yeah,
with Hawaiian print on it.
With Hawaiian print on the back, because every day is a holiday.
So, Ricky, what are your future racing plans in your career, and will you go to cars and trucks?
Will I go to cars and trucks? That would be really fun to get in on the side. It'd be pretty fun to.
You got some motorcycle business to take care of.
Yeah, but I just said on the side.
Yeah.
When I'm not racing motorcycles, go drive a truck or go drive a car.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, and we're gonna get to cut this as the last question. Ricky, what do you eat before a race like the Mint to carb load? Right after you drink the Monster Energy, right?
Yeah, right after I pound a couple Monsters. I like to eat pasta and bread. No, I'm just kidding. In Dakar, it's survival. The food's not the best, so you have to really pick and choose what you eat there. Before the Mint, I think Kendall and I had a steak and potato, but carb loading is kind of a fake thing. Carbs burn off pretty fast in the body, and then after that, it goes to fats. So it's better to eat like a healthy fats food.
That's why I have such a good endurance program.
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
So, okay, we're going to let Ricky go here. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in. I'm going to get Suzanne over here, and we're going to have our 200 tequila. Ricky, thanks a bunch for
thank you.
Stepping in. We're going to go ride more tomorrow. Actually, I'm going to go ride the truck.
Oh, must be
We got gnarly Dave here to help us do some work on some map books. He's in map book building training.
Map book building training.
Yeah, we'll be up till 2:00 tonight working on that thing. I hope my lines aren't all crooked on the map books. Cap what? So, Suzanne, let's have our last tequila here.
Our last tequila?
Yeah, our last tequila. Well, I got 2 more. I'm gonna.
1.5.
You got 1? Oh, okay. I'm at 2. I'll have 1.5 in a second. I like that one. Whatever the one was before.
You're gonna do it.
But that one tastes like Band-Aids. What it? You did? It tastes. Oh, I don't know. It was I don't know which one it was, but it was more like a whiskey almost.
I know, but I didn't like the silver. Oh wait, you just drink the maple.
Oh, the one on the right.
That's the one I haven't had, so that's the.
Oh,
Band-Aid
yeah.
one.
See it. I'm gonna try the Reposado here and see how it is.
It smells like Band-Aids.
And the the Reposado has a little bit of the same taste. The silver, is that silver? Was that, this one was the silver? That was good. I like that one. So we're here on Tech Talk Taco Tuesday talking about tequila. We're at Ramiro's, which is a tequila bar here in Pahrump, Nevada. They have, I don't know how many total, but we're working on our 200th tequila. And after I do this, I'm going to get a bar stool named after me because I wanted to do something with my life. Are you going to sit down over here and enjoy the last one, or are you running away again?
She's running away.
She's running away. So, oh, you're finished. You won? She beat me again.
No. You drink it now.
All right, okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I had 200 different ones. I just didn't finish them. So,
There you go. Yay.
well, done with the Band-Aids, and now I'm gonna do with the one that's like half from the Band. Actually, I like sipping them. So, anyhow, we're up. So if you come into Ramiro's, you can sit in my bar stool now. Has my name on it. And let's see, what type of tequila? Hold on a second. I'm losing my connectivities. What type of tequila? I don't know which tequila this is. I'd have to call in on an expert. I didn't read the bottles. I was kind of doing my show prep notes and things. But anyhow, I don't know if we need to cover anything else. I'll talk about one other quick thing before I sign off here because we're getting close to an hour. Janie, what kind of tequila was that?
That was Sangre de Vida.
Sangre de Vida.
Yes.
The silver, the silver.
Reposado,
Oh, that was
añejo, extra añejo.
okay. So the Reposado was good.
Did you
Those
have the
those
silver
two.
one? That was the heart that George brought in.
Oh, the heart one. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I like the first one. Goggles. I'd see. We talked about a little bit about the. I'll talk about the helmet real quick. Helmet stuff. A lot of the new helmets are having this rotational technology. Actually, the materials that they're using for helmets are getting a lot better. A lot of the helmets now have things in there for rotational impact dampening, and there's just been I've heard a lot of talk, and I talked to a friend of mine that knows a lot about it, and they're trying to develop a standard for it. I believe MotoGP and the FIM is trying to come up with some sort of a standard for this, and some people tend to think it might be a little bit rushed because they just haven't exactly figured out how to test this stuff. But I'm always thinking about safety and what's the safest thing. We did this test back at Dirt Rider in 2009 where we anonymously took a bunch of helmets, or actually we knew what helmets we were getting, but I never knew what they were. We smashed them anonymously in what is now called a 3130 standard, which is a off-road specific helmet testing standard. It was something that they were working on developing at the time, and we had a scale where there was the ratings of how these helmets performed, and companies were told how their helmet performed, but they saw how everybody else's performed, but nobody knew which one was which, except for your own. And then they were allowed to reveal the results if they wanted the world to see this is our helmet. And a few companies did reveal the results. A few companies said no, but we published the data, the impacts. And so some of them were just brand X and Y and Z and A and B and C. And then there was the companies like VMAR, for instance, is one of the helmets that performed outstanding in that test at that time. And but we learned a lot in what the different standards mean, how they and like the Helmet Testing Society will tell you, you tell me how you're going to crash and we can build you the best helmet, or tell you which helmet you should wear. But unfortunately, we don't get to do that. Now we're seeing a lot of technologies that have some rotational components into it, and there's a lot of claims out there about how they're working, and I want to see some real back-to-back-to-back independent testing, because everybody does their independent testing, and they say they'll show you independent tests, but unless it's done by somebody that's independent, i.e. not a helmet manufacturer, well, then it's a little bit different. But this is going on with hockey. This is going on with football, because concussions are a big deal, and they're starting to learn how much of a big deal they are. So so what I learned about this rotational study is that basically Terry Smith at Dynamic Research did a study where he actually started testing some of the different rotational parts, because some of those helmets have things that they say, yeah, they're helping with rotation, but they're also helping with what's called a linear impact. And when I read through the study, basically what it says, the conclusion is that the helmets with the rotational stuff perform the same as a normal helmet on a linear impact, but they are definitely better in a rotational aspect. So for sure, we haven't figured out exactly how to test that, but kind of going kind of a step back, that's kind of what somebody needs to do. We need to figure out a good way to do it that's going to relate to less head injuries, and then decide whether or not you need to have a $650 helmet, which some of these ones that are set up with these technologies, or there's interesting things like MIPS, which is just literally a plastic shield that fits in between the liner or in between the foam layers and allows it to rotate, so you can still have a rotational component at a lower cost. I think it's a good thing. I really do think that all this rotational stuff is a good thing, because a lot of times when you hit, you're not just smacking your head straight into the wall or onto the ground. There's a twisting component, and your head doesn't like to be shook like that. So that's where I'm at on the helmet thing. Hopefully I'll get something rolling here in the near future. It is not cheap to have lab time to do that kind of stuff, and it's difficult to get companies to trust someone to do that kind of testing without, allowing them to be tested anonymously. And I still don't know some of the helmets that were tested in the Dirt Rider. I actually, anybody that didn't reveal in that Dirt Rider test back in 2009, I still don't know who they are. I don't want to know who they are, but it was really nice to see all that information. And then you could see, of course, the helmets that performed well revealed, and then you had a much better idea on, where things stood. And it did break down some of the barriers as far as people relating cost to performance of helmet, and then learning that fit is very important, and the weight of the helmet is also very important. So something we talk about, if you look at some of the helmet tests we've done on dirt bike test, we always comment on that, but it really depends on, how you're going to crash before you do it. So, what, do I get another one? 201, wow. There's a lot of extra stuff here tonight. Okay, and the next thing, I was going to talk about some of the different goggles I've gotten the last couple weeks. Here we go. The first one, X brand goggle here. This is X brand's, it's their over the goggle and enduro goggle. And what's kind of cool about this is it has some extra thick foam. Rich Taylor, I saw him out at the track last week. I showed him some of my 2-year-old X goggles. He said, those are old. Let me get you some new stuff. And he gave me this, and he said, I really want you to try it. And so today, when I was riding, I finally got a chance to wear this. If you're an over-the-goggle guy, over-the-glasses guy. Did I say over the goggles? Over-the-glasses guy. This is designed for that. It has a little bit of a relief right in here in this area. But I will caution you that it is a small-framed goggle. So unless you're wearing some pretty small glasses, you're going to have a tough fit in here. But he was saying try it because of the foam. It's extra thick foam, and I have to agree with him. It was a really good plush foam fit. We didn't have really fogging conditions, so I can't really talk too much to that. The only thing is, now that I've been wearing a lot of the goggles that have the raised, I don't know what do they call that part? The edge that comes up here, like this. The raised edge. You notice that, and it makes it fit a lot better on your face in the frame like that. So, but definitely a nice plush goggle. I think the price point on this one is around $35, $39. So if you're looking for to squeeze a small goggle into the helmet, that's a good one. And our Dave comes over. He's going to check it out. I think you want to sit down here so everybody can see. I'll focus the thing here with the big glasses. This is Gnarly Dave. You might follow him on Instagram. He rides thousands and thousands of miles on his bicycle on Instagram. Thousands of miles.
Yeah,
so,
I have a little bit bigger glasses, like
yeah.
you're saying. Even though these are a little oversized, I mean, these could work. Actually.
It's working. You can kind of see a gap in the side.
Yeah.
But push on it pretty.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Kind of.
That notch that you're talking about.
Yeah, because every once in a while, like I said, if I had these, what do they call these?
I call them wings.
The outlets, that would help kind of pull it in, because I noticed it was on the side of my helmet, and it was kind of holding it out, so I could actually feel air coming in there in the high-speed stuff.
Yeah, I
But
can see that.
that's, if you have the goggles on or the glasses on, you're probably used to it. So my second goggle, John Knowles from Scott sent me out a couple pairs of some of their prospect goggles, and the one I was super interested in, this one is called the LS Sand, light sensitive lens. So this is something I was a big fan of. I know Pro Grip used to have a light sensitive lens back in the day.
Yeah.
This is a really good, it's a big frame goggle. So if you have a tight helmet, it's going to be a little bit issue fitting in there, but full range of full vision. And the light sensitive lens is super good. And the other thing that they do with this, and I remember this because when I was racing Dakar 20 years ago, Scott had these prototype, or not, they were just special built goggles where they put really good foam, and they actually had Gore-Tex up in here. And I don't think they've gone to that level. They just have a lot of really trick foam stuff now. And this one was really good at high speed, and no dust got in, no dirt got in, and the light sensitive was...
How quick is the light sensitivity?
You don't notice it changing, but I'll tell you what interesting did happen today was I had a mud ball fly up right in front of my eye, and it didn't bother me for a while, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to wipe it off. So I wiped it off, and there was a white spot on the lens, and I was like, oh man, I scratched my lens. I was all bummed, and then it slowly transitioned back. So it seemed like it took about 15 seconds or something to make a change, but this is a premium goggle at about I wrote it down. Hold on a second.
Yeah, most of the time I wear contacts when I ride.
I'm going to turn this guy on here so you can talk into that guy.
Yeah, most of the time I wear contacts when I ride, but the curvature of the goggles plays a big part for me.
Yeah.
You know, like this feels like a big fat potato head. So this feels like it's probably a little too curved for me.
Huh.
I feel like I need it more flat.
Yeah.
But it feels good.
And that's what some of those, the rudders, they'll kind of either pull it in or let it sit better.
Yeah, I can
But
see that.
it just depends on how the helmet is, on how wide the helmet is. So that's an $89 goggle. That's a $90 goggle. It's pretty premium. But once you start wearing the light sensitive stuff, I've missed it for a long time, because a lot of times you take off and it's cloudy or riding in trees, and you come out and we have this white dirt that just blinds you if you're wearing a clear lens. It's kind of difficult. And my last one is the Climb Viper. And this is the more premium. This is also a premium goggle. I think this one, because of the lens, is a $109 goggle. So same thing, really good fit. It has the outriggers. That's what they're called, outriggers. Outriggers. I knew I'd get
Wings,
the name.
outriggers.
Outriggers. Nose guard. So it has all the features they have. I'm not a fan of this. This lens color here. It just doesn't seem to work. I mean, it looks cool. These look really cool, but it doesn't seem to work for any particular application. And if you've talked to any riders that do different things, you all have your favorite, different color lens and stuff. This one lets a lot more air in. When we're doing high speed, it has these vents up on top, and I actually felt it, compared to the Scott and compared to the X goggle, it was channeling some in there. But I've been running these since Climb started coming out with goggles, and they have a durability to them that's phenomenal. Because when you start seeing a lot of them, the bands go bad and the foam starts going bad. I still have some of my original goggles, and I'm kind of blown away by how many times I've thrown them into the washer machine and done stuff with them.
Let me ask you this, Jimmy, because I'm a ghetto racer and I'm poor. So what's the cost on the lenses? Do you have that? Do you know? Like replacement lenses? Because I imagine this will be a little bit more. And
I was looking at them, and it seems,
wow.
Yeah,
whoa, bro.
It seems like when you have those are like double of what a clear would be, and I don't have the replacement cost. I know I was looking at some fly goggles the other day. The standard lens was $7, and the mirrored lens was $14.
It's not bad.
So that was on a fly goggle. But I didn't do the research on seeing where the different lenses were on some of these. I imagine the light sensitive one is up there too. It's probably, I would suspect it's a $20 to $25 lens, but I'm only guessing at this point. So, anyways, that is some of the goggles I've been wearing. I know our internet connections are getting a little. They're probably trying to kick us out. Is it working on you?
I got mine off.
Oh, you shut it off. So we're gonna wrap this one up on my 101st Tequila.
Yeah, buddy.
Dave, it was good to see you again. Thanks
Great.
for coming over and thanks for
having
trying
me.
some goggles on. Thank you, Ricky.
RB.
Yep. Thank you everybody for watching, and we will be back next Tuesday as long as the internets are still available. So see you on the trail.